Hello, peoples. Welcome back to another Fighting Fright Friday. I'm here with my cousin.
Hi guys, I'm Kyla.
Yo!
Well, my full government name is Kyla Journey. It's hyphenated. I currently am a junior going into my second semester in my junior year at UMass Amherst. I'm a journalism major with a creative writing specialization and an education and an Afro American studies minor.
Yeah, clock it.
Yeah,
See.
Afro, not African, because Afro includes people in the diaspora. African only includes people who directly are descendants that came from Africa.
Okay, education. Yeah. I'm bringing Kyla on for a Fighting Fright episode just because we were having cousin time today and I was like, you want to make a video? And she was like, yeah. So we're just going to have a little conversation.
Okay.
Basically, my first question is, why did you pick your major?
I picked journalism because I didn't want to do English because I was like, I don't want to read more Shakespeare. I don't want to read about more white men. I don't want to read what's considered classic literature because it's not classic to me. And then I didn't want to major in creative writing either because I felt like I like creative writing, but I didn't want to make it my main thing. So journalism is a way for me to not only reach audiences that might not have the ability to be in the spaces that I'll be in, but I can get there, I can get information, and then I can then broadcast it to whoever needs to hear it. Because journalism is all about getting the public the information that they ought to know and that they should know. So I think that fits really well. That's my little niche.
That's your little niche. Okay.
Yeah.
And are you interested in writing like books, stories, etc.? Like with your, not necessarily that you need a degree to do that, but is that kind of what you're aiming towards doing with your degree, or you're not sure? Or
I'm not sure. Writing, I know, is always going to be in the cards for me. Now, as for books, I feel like creatively, I feel like not a biography, but like a partially fictional like biography. Because some serious, well, not serious, but like I just feel like the way that I write could be very entertaining. But
the way that we have conversations is entertaining.
yeah, well, yes, well, yes.
So okay, understood. But continue.
But I think book writing isn't like my main goal. Obviously, in another life, I was an author, and I live in a loft in New York, and I get to overlook Central Park, and I have a butler, and his name is Alfred. You know.
In terms of like your creativity, like how do you view creativity? Because for me, like the closest that I can kind of understand where you're coming from is like with songwriting. Like that's the type of writing that I do, and I'm making a short film right now, so I wrote a script for that, and that was an interesting process. But that's kind of the closest I have, like poetry, like that world. I haven't really looked at books in the lens of like actually, I don't know, what does creativity look like for you in that sense?
In terms of writing?
Yeah, in terms of writing.
Okay, so work and then be able to talk to the author about it, because most of the time when you're in English class, you're reading dead people's work. Like you're not able to talk to the author, you're not able to get their perspective or just hear like who they are as a person and just their life outside of writing. So I would say, actually, I forgot the question.
You know what? And you know what's crazy is because I started forgetting it too. But it was more geared towards like, what does creativity look like?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, I'm getting there. But in terms of like creatively writing, I think I just sit down. I try to journal really consistently. Actually, I have to do that tonight. So. Just putting this out there. If you have to journal, just do it. Just do it when you remember.
Yeah.
But journaling, I find, is also my time to sort of like creatively write. It's mostly a summary about my day, but I also write for an audience, you could say. So like if someone were to flip through and just like read a random page, they'd be like, oh, like this is what Kyla did, and then this is what happened, and this is what she was thinking. But in terms of like writing pieces like poetry, I don't love poetry. I don't hate it. I find it complicated. We have a complicated relationship.
Interesting. For your own poetry, or for when you're like, wait a minute, because that's what poetry. Hold on, because I was gonna say like when you're writing for yourself or like reading it. Like, what do you mean?
I like reading poetry. I like the fact that you can dissect it and everyone reads it differently. But writing it, I find really hard because it's like, do I want it to rhyme? Do I not want it to rhyme? How do I want to break up the stanzas? Do I want it to be double spaced? Do I want it to be single spaced? Do I want the words to create a picture? There are just so many things. And then even if you don't intentionally do something, someone might read that choice to, or choice not to do something, as an intentional choice, and you just simply might not have even thought about it.
Yeah, I think that's such a funny thing because like I've done performances where like whether it's song or poetry, and people will come up to me and be like, "Oh, so like the meaning behind this and that," and I'm like, Right. So I wasn't thinking about that, but I mean, sure, like if that's what you gotta pull from that, go for it, you know, and that it just is so valid that people can pull, like you could write like the sky was blue and somebody be like, and the depth of the blue, and you're like, you know what, you run with that, you know.
And you know, you take it and you run a
marathon.
marathon.
You run. And we're back.
Okay.
I was gonna say, my next question is about, do you face like any doubts towards your writing? Like what is have you built like a better relationship with your inner critic, or like when you're writing, is there a constant like this isn't right or this isn't good enough? Like, so what are some of those doubts, and then how do you combat them?
Okay. In terms of my creative writing, a lot of the time, if it's something that I know has a personal meaning behind it, my creative writing portfolio has a lot of personal pieces, and it was about me writing before I got into my current relationship. Shout out Devin. Shout out my man. But it was about sort of us falling, like literally falling in love, like legitimately.
Beautiful.
So I was.
Like, I got to witness that.
She did. Yo.
The plot was thick, honey.
Y'all, it's literally so good. It's so good.
And it's wild because we both have stories where we ended up with our best friends. So like, because okay, side note question.
They're married now.
And we're married. Okay, so side quest happened today. This is my old ring. It's supposed to be on this finger, but he got me a wedding ring for Christmas. We went to the firehouse to get it cut off because it was too small, and now it looks small. That way,
y'all, he knows we're talking about him.
You said your personal pieces were about your relationship, and in terms of critiquing them, do you kind of just let them flow, or is there a critique there?
I try to write them, and I'm like, okay, this is what happened, this is how I feel that it happened, and then sharing it with someone else and having them give me feedback. It's never on the story, it's on the grammar or just the overall flow, which I'm always scared that someone's gonna look at the story and be like, well, why are you writing about this? Because it's important to me. But I would say in terms of my inner critique, I'm always like, am I giving this story justice? Is this the way that I need it to be? Does this read the same way that it actually happened? Am I adding stuff in? Am I taking stuff out? But there are also aspects where it's like, okay, that was a really personal thing, and I don't know if I'm ready to put that in my writing to be shared.
So when you write, like, I guess there's different forms of it, like writing for yourself versus writing to share with others. But when you write for yourself, like, do you still find yourself critiquing things even though you know you're not going to show anyone?
Yes. So, always an inner critique, even if I'm writing for myself, even if no one's going to see it. Like, sometimes I'll be journaling and I'm like, oh, my cursive is awful. That doesn't necessarily have to do with the writing itself, but it's just like, in 3 months, I will have no clue what that word says. I know what it is right now.
What are some of the ways that you combat, like, the doubts and inner critic things that you battle with?
With the people who I want to read over my writing, or if I'm like, hey, like, can you look over this? I'm like, you know what? If they say it's good, then it's good. Someone else is looking at it, because we're always our worst critics. So if someone else is looking at it and they're like, you just need to change this, this, and this for more clarity, not the content of it, then I feel like, you know what, I did good. Because you're always going to look back at something and you're always going to want to change it. You're always going to want to rewrite it. Like, even I'll look at old pieces that I wrote and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I need to change this, this, and this. Like, this is awful. This writing is just terrible. But again, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. Time has passed. Maybe the situation has changed. Maybe the thing that I wrote about isn't as personal as it was at the time when I wrote it. So now I feel more likely to make more changes. You know, there's just a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Is there anything that's inwards that's not, like, outside of you that you do? Because that's kind of based on another person's viewpoint of it. So, like, say there was nobody to show it to, but you were still doing your creative outlets. Like, what's some way that you would combat how you approach different things?
Put it away. Put it away. Don't look at it. And come back to it later. Forget about it. Like, literally forget about it. And when it comes back to my mind, then I'm like, okay, now I can look at it. Now, if it's a time-sensitive piece,
we just gonna have to work through it.
Like, I'm gonna just stare at it. And maybe I'll put it down for like 5 minutes, but I'll come back at some point.
And then, do you put like any deadlines, or like how do you work towards accomplishing your goals? And what does that look like being in college? Because, like, for me, it's quite different. Like, I don't have, like, the structure of school anymore, so sometimes it gets, like, really weird having to, like, complete tasks.
Mm.
So, as someone who's still in school, or
Mm.
even some of the things that you do, like, outside of schoolwork,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, how do you apply pressure to yourself? That's a bad question
No,
because
actually,
you be applying pressure anyway,
I
so.
was gonna say no matter what, like I'm always like pedal to the metal, like I'm always like one foot in front of the other, 120, like y'all,
The voices!
the
No.
voices. But it's actually I write everything down. I set reminders for myself. I have a notebook. I'm gonna be out
Yeah,
later
right, yeah,
somewhere.
okay.
Side note: write it down. Make it plain. But yeah, I do a lot. I do a lot of planning. If I think about it, I write it down, put it in my note. My notes app hates to see me coming. A post-it note, a notepad.
I do post-it notes too. It's ridiculous. I look like a mad person. There's post-it notes
Literally,
everywhere.
I have a post-it note on my bedside table, and I also have one on my desk, and I also have one like at school. Like I have one on my desk as well, and it'll be like multiple things. Like there will be a list I have, and I know it's like for 6 months from now. And if I write it down, and I'm gonna stick it there, and I'm like, I know I'm gonna come back to it because I'm gonna look at it, so I'm gonna remember. Setting timers. If I know somebody else is depending on me to do something for some reason, that makes it that much more urgent.
I do the exact same thing. Literally, if you have a project that you're doing, it will sit there forever because
Yep.
you'll just keep trying to perfect it. Like,
Yep.
no matter what, you'll be like, oh, it's really good, but I could just tweak this, I could tweak that. You
Mm-hmm.
could set a deadline, but if it's just you'll push the deadline back.
Exactly.
So I found including other people on
Exactly.
whatever you're working on, like, collaboration is great, but even I understand that if you have like a passion project and you really want to do it yourself is great, but it is really good to have somebody like who is now a part of it where it's like, for example, the fashion show that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Once I had the casting call, I had to make sure I was getting people's measurements, that I had fittings, like I had to get that stuff done. Like when you do showcases, like you have to be like, oh, they need to send in their music, they etc. I think the biggest example of this is in the short film of like I wrote the script, I had the casting call, but now you have people asking you questions like, oh, well, when are we shooting? Is there hair and makeup? Is there this and that? And it will actually help you think of other aspects of the project that you weren't necessarily considering before. You can only make it so far alone, and you can make it pretty far. I don't want to downplay that. You can make it pretty far on your own, but then it gets to a point where it's like, there are people out there who have answers to the questions that you're looking for. And so by wearing it all by yourself and saying like, oh, I just don't know where to start, or I don't know what to do next, or I have this great idea but I don't know how to fully realize it, there's somebody out there who has the other piece to your puzzle and they need you to complete their tasks.
Exactly.
So collaboration is a pretty great thing, but involving other people in your projects, just even if it's still your idea, because I feel like that's what people are afraid of, like, oh, but like what if they overtake my idea? Sometimes that might happen and you can make something even cooler. But I understand if it's really important to you, bring that to someone. Hey, this is really important to me, but I need you to hold me accountable for this.
Yep.
I need there to be some type of, not necessarily consequence if I don't get it done, but something needs to change if I don't meet these deadlines. Because, for example, if you're like, oh, I need this venue, and in your head the venue's locked in, but then you call the venue and they're like, oh, if you would have called last week, it would have been fine. But you called today and I can't make that happen. Like, there's going to be consequences if you keep prolonging things, whether you realize it or not. It might be a missed opportunity. It might be a missed something, a connection that you could have made with someone. But even if you're like, oh, I feel like I'm on a good pace, you're always going to be on a good pace if you're only on your own time.
That's true.
You know?
Because
so.
you keep setting your own deadlines. You're not being held responsible to anyone but yourself. So then you're like, oh, well, I know I just need to do X, Y, Z. And then also, life does get in the way. Like, literally, life will just happen sometimes. And you're like, oh my God, it's been 3 months since I touched my last project. Like, I haven't done it. Y'all, I have 6 weeks of winter break. And my goal is to read as much as possible. I have other side things that I know I need to work on. I have planning to do for next summer. And what have I done? None of that.
Right.
But it's because I know I had to get my computer fixed. So I was like, okay, well, I know I want to use my computer for all these tasks because it's easier to look at. So now is my dedicated break time because I'm like, well, I don't have my computer to work on it. Could I do it if I absolutely needed to and wanted to? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do I know that I was also doing work during my semester and I was literally always doing something? Yes. So I'm taking this time while my computer is getting fixed to actually have a break. Then pedal to the metal again.
Yeah, and taking breaks is also slept on. I feel like we're now in a culture that's like
Yes.
hustle like all the time,
Hustle culture.
24/7. And yes, that can be
Oh
great, but
man.
nobody's showing the part of that person might be hustling really well. It might be all working out for them, and that's great, but they also might be really drained. Or they're
Exactly.
not drained and they've learned how to manage it. But that took time for them to learn how to manage. Now, for you, you're over here working yourself to the bone, and you're like, I don't think I can function anymore. I need a 3-month break. I can't do this. And you're like, yeah, because you're trying to do it all at once. And that's what I do. I put on a bunch of projects at once, and I'm like, you need to slow it down. You need to do one project at a time. But not always. I feel like it really depends on who you're talking to, because sometimes people will say like, oh, you need to break it down more, you need to slow it down, you can't do all of this. You're like, well, my brain functions differently than yours. I can do 10 projects at once. I just have to learn how to manage them differently.
Exactly.
Because you can either do 10 projects at once, manage them really poorly, and now all of them are subpar, or you can do 10 projects at once, but maybe they're all smaller or something, and you're able to categorize them better if you plan them very distinctively. You talked about setting a plan like 6 months in advance. If you do that for multiple events, some things can work out, things can happen. But yeah, so that was all the questions that I had, other than this last one. If you were to give advice to somebody who's wanting to start to tap into their creativity, and they're not sure how, whether that's them posting or starting the process by themselves to post in the future or not post at all, what would you say?
Find it
I'm finding it.
organic.
I'm sorry.
Find it organically. Go to things you wouldn't normally go to, do things you wouldn't normally do, try and figure out what you actually enjoy spending your time doing, what you connect with. Is it something physical? Like, are you doing a physical activity, or are you creating something? Like, is that writing something, or is that putting things together like a video? Like, is it digital? Just try and find your creative niche, and then if you're like, okay, I feel like I can do this consistently, that might be your thing. But also, not everything you do creatively you have to not monetize per se, but that doesn't have to be like your stick, like you're stuck with this. So feel free to explore as well. But
And pick something to keep for yourself.
100%. No worries. But I was gonna say, you can have something that's creative and for profit, and then you can have something that's creative and just for you. Like for me, every here and again, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna put a little TikTok vlog together, and it might be the video that takes off. In another life, I was a content creator, and I record any and everything.
And that's just what it is.
And that is what it is. But in this life, I take pictures every here and again, not of myself, just of life. You know, I love a cute little Instagram story dump. Love it down. But to post every day and to vlog and to be that consistent, that is just simply not something I enjoy. Like, I try it every here and again, and I'm like, yeah, no, like, I'm putting so much into this. I know that trying to do this daily, consistently on a schedule to get to the point where content creators are at, it will not make me happy. So just find it organically.
Yeah. Well, thank you, cousin,
You're
for coming
welcome.
on here. This is Kyla, and the next time maybe you're on my page, you'll be have graduated. Nah, that's crazy. Okay, bye.